Health, is there somebody coming in from the senior center?
Sure, remember that.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're out of our executive session, no action taken. We're going to move on down to our agenda. This is not an action item. This is another workshop on the Cascade Senior Valley County Community Center. And I'm going to try to lead off of this, and I'm not sure where to go with it. But basically, I was notified last week sometime that the existing senior board has decided to throw in the towel. They're not capable of running the center and providing the meals that they were originally designed for the seniors. In the meantime, I have been in communication with Calvary Chapel, and they are very interested in renting the whole facility. They're also very interested in continuing with providing the meals on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the seniors. And as you guys know, we were approached last week by a member of that church to possibly open a daycare. So what they are asking for now is, can they go ahead and start doing that? Do we need to redo the lease we have with Calvary Chapel to include those requirements in that, which I think we do? And then also, what is going to be the new lease rate? Is it going to double because now the building, they're getting twice as much building? And then the final question is, do we still supplement their income for the $11,000 a year that we gave the old senior board to cook the meals? So I need everybody's input and feeling on that. I feel like, we need to at least double the revenue from it, but then it's like, well, then we're going to turn around and give them back $11,000 to cook the meals. So I don't know what to do. And I'm open for any suggestions, any ideas. And as you guys know, we have not heard back from Paula Bartlett on the daycare yet. She was to present us a proposal on that. I know right now there is a huge demand for daycare in this end of the valley. And in fact, one of them may be closing here after the first of the year, the community church, because all the gals that work there are having babies. So they're going to be home and not able to run the daycare. So, and we can't find help at what we pay, or they can't find help at what they pay for that. So I don't, there's a lot of gray area out here. I can't figure out how to approach this.
So first of all, I think our conversation is with whoever's renting it. I don't care what they do with it. It's if it's church or a daycare or whatever. But the CDBG grant, we need to deny. So get that in immediately so that we don't get offset with commerce in any way. But I
that's
also
already happened,
think,
isn't it? Oh, not yet?
no, we were waiting. But I also think we need to have the conversation. If we're renting the entire facility to somebody, then all the TI that's inside, all those tenant improvements, how are we going to deal with that? Because in the commercial world, and I've been a commercial developer, normally the owner of that building doesn't do the upgrades to the interior, plow the parking lots. I mean, right now we're plowing the parking lot. We're doing everything for that center, and I think that needs to stop.
Well,
no
no,
other
that's what
church-
we're paying the power bill.
Yeah, all that needs to stop.
They did say they're paying the phone and the internet. They have kept
No
up
other
with
church in the valley is being supported by county taxpayer dollars. So we need to stop all of that. And then if they want to rent it, what is fair market rent for a commercial space? Has nothing to do with the county at this moment in time. What is fair market value for that amount of space? And it could be $2,500 a month. And then
We need to research that.
we need to research that. And then also, if they are interested in buying that building, we need a proposal, or we need to know, do at least a broker's price opinion. And then we would have to follow it up with a,
We can't sell them the building. The way you have to disperse of county property is
oh, that's
you have
right.
it appraised and then it's put up for auction and other people are allowed to come in and bid, correct?
And that's,
Yeah, I think so
we
too.
need to look into that a
So
little
we
bit
can't just
further,
make
but-
a special deal with them. It's gonna be a wide open, anybody can.
And if we choose to keep it, which we might, for a year anyway and see how it goes, but we need to know what the rentable rate is, because it's no longer a senior center. They can do whatever they want in there. They can charge whatever they want for meals. They can write grants for those funding. I don't think we support any further.
And I think if we're leasing it,
we make it, they're responsible for all the utilities, all the snow plowing. It's their facility.
Yeah, it's just like any other commercial building. They can do with it whatever they want inside, but if they want to do something specific like a daycare and their specific needs, it's going to be at their expense.
Mhm.
And they charge whatever they want to charge for the daycare.
So I guess what I'm hearing is you guys, I mean, I think it's a great idea that we continue the lease, we not sell the building and see how they do.
At least for 12 months. For all of 25, just lease it.
Yeah, and let them do inside
Well-
whatever they want, but we have continued to put money into that building. And
Remember, we have the lease with them until October 31st of next year. We have the rest of this year under the original lease.
Oh, I see.
for half of it.
So if they come in and want the whole building, then we're gonna have to make an amendment to that lease for this year.
Correct.
I think they'd be,
But
I
we'll,
think they'd be good with that.
You know what I'd like to do, and maybe this is the wrong way to approach it, is let's bring them in front of us and see what they want to do. And how much they think it's worth. Because I have wrestled with this for 3 weeks and it's been a late nighter for me on all this stuff, trying to deal with the board. It's not been an easy task.
And how can we find out what a reasonable rent is for that square footage of facility?
Probably what, realtor?
any realtor down here, yeah. Tell us what lands are being leased. And I think we just have to change our mindset. If it's not a senior center anymore, or
No.
we're supporting the seniors, it's just a commercial building. The county owns a commercial building, just like anything else, so.
And it may be a situation where they come back and say, we'll continue the 2 days a week meals. They want to fire up Meals on Wheels. They want to bring that back because there's a lot of seniors in this end of the valley that are basically stuck at home. They don't have any way to drive and they need meals. And I'm thinking, well, okay, that's a benefit.
There's a big grant for that too. The senior center just hasn't kept up with on their grants.
Oh yeah, AAA funding, there's Meals on Wheels funding. There's a lot of options
Aging.
out there to go.
Yeah, there's aging, So there's all kinds of that. And they need to research all of that. But I think it's just incumbent upon us to treat them just like any other religion then in the county because.
I
all
don't
the other
even
churches-
look at it as a religion. I just look at it as a group of people that want to rent this facility.
Yep, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to those guys and present, this is what we're thinking. Maybe have them come in with a proposal and let's see where it goes. Does that work?
Do you know
Like
a real
that.
estate agent to call down here?
I could talk to Dave O'Brien,
That'd be great.
but you're a realtor.
Nope, I'm not a realtor. I've been for 2 years, thank you very much.
I'm trying to fade away, man, and the rope's still tied to the dock. Oh, do you have anything, or Arnie, on this? Is there anything that we gotta be careful of?
Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I think you've got multiple agreements related to this building. I think we need to review those agreements. There's been some grant implications with this, and services that we've, I think, put out to the public that we're prepared and willing to provide. The one being
The meals?
the senior foot clinic and
We haven't
meals.
signed a new contract
Right.
with them.
So I think we need to take it one step at a time, look at each individual agreement, see what what adjustments need to be made to those agreements, and then we can maybe make a little better informed decision about what the future of that, what's the highest and best use of that building and going down the road.
Okay,
So,
that helps me a lot because I didn't want to make those decisions without talking with everyone. Okay, so. Put myself a note here. So we're gonna move on down the next agenda. This is an action item. This is a motion for reconsideration for CUP 24-02, River Fork Ranch subdivision. I guess, I'm not quite sure how to approach this, whether you want me to lead the discussion or if you want to lead it. But we have
you want me to just introduce it?
Sure.
Okay.
Find it first.
Mr. Chairman, so as you recall, you had not a public hearing, but oral arguments presented on the request for reconsideration from 3 separate parties on the River Fork Ranch CUP. And we have kind of a deadline that we're up against. The 60-day window to have a written decision completed is this Friday, the 22nd. So this is your last available board meeting. The purpose of the action item is for you to complete your deliberations on the reconsideration and then announce your decision. I've given you an option for your consideration. The other options that you have available, if this proposal that I put in front of you isn't acceptable, is to reconvene between now and Friday to make whatever adjustments you want in the written decision and then vote on that. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that you had options. We could make adjustments. It would just require a special meeting before the end of the week to make whatever adjustments you want to make, depending on what the outcome of your decision is that I'm anticipating you're going to announce here in a few minutes. So any questions for me about procedures? Okay, thank you.
This is not a public hearing, right, Brian?
No. So this is, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to discuss my concerns after the reconsideration. I think that there were some things that were raised, and we need to think about the due process consideration with this whole thing. I think there were some things raised at that September 9th meeting that was new information because the developer talked about wanting credits on his future development agreement. And so that raised a flag that this is not the only consideration. Now, this is the only application we have in front of us right now. But I think that we owe the developer the opportunity to speak to that statement, to make sure that we are mitigating for the concerns in that area at the proper mitigation level. So that to me is a concern. And then the individuals that were up here raised some concerns during the reconsideration that I think we owe the developer the opportunity to speak to that also. So I think, for me anyway, that I would move that we vacate the approval, but send it back to public hearing and go ahead and hold one more public hearing, letting the developer discuss some of the information that was raised, letting the public have another shot at just new information if there's anything raised. And then at that moment in time, we've looked at all mitigating factors, making sure that we have the correct information. I'd like to hear a little bit more from our engineer on that intersection, because that has been the one thing that I don't think has been clear throughout this entire process, is the mitigation of that traffic concern at that intersection. So for me, that's what I would be recommending today, is let's give everybody one more shot at addressing what information came up on September 9th and then through the reconsideration, and then moving from that moment forward. So just vacating the approval for today, sending it back for one more public hearing before a final decision is made. I don't know what you guys think.
Now, do you want to go next? You want me to?
Well, go ahead. I'm just reading this last little bit.
This is kind of one of those things that I think one of those applications that maybe got away from us a little bit. I feel like we were a little bit misconstrued when I saw the plot and it showed the road going clear to the north property line. I assumed that was a cul-de-sac, and then I find out later that was a recommendation from our P&Z staff so that we could continue that road on. And that raised kind of a red flag for me. I felt like when we started talking about the development agreement, all of a sudden we kind of veered off into, well, I would like some credits for future development. And I felt like, wait a minute, we have to go on what the application was given to us. And now we're getting so much new information on that I'm going to have to agree with Sherry. I think we need to kick this one back. We need to give the developer a chance to answer these questions. And depending on those answers, I think we may actually end up remanding this back to P&Z for consideration on the whole project. Or if the developer says, no, this is a one-time deal only, it's not a phased development, then I think we need to seriously sit down and talk to him about, he's got to come up with something from ITD that says this is a safe intersection and it's workable or it's not, and what can he do to mitigate that? I am concerned that this road is a very major route for a lot of people going to our landfill or MRF site. I know Lakeshore Disposal uses it for their trucks. Road is going to do nothing but grow more as far as more use. So there's going to be a lot more traffic on turning left, coming south off Highway 55 onto this road. And I think the design of that intersection should be a requirement to be improved on before we go further with it. I don't have too much of an issue. One of the testimony we took was the impact on ag and how it's going to affect the ag grounds. And I have a similar operation with the cow-calf operation in Corrales, and I have a state highway goes through the middle of me, and I have two county roads that split me into thirds and fourths and fifths. And you just have to kind of learn to deal with that. There's certain times of the day you don't move your cows over the highway, and certain days of the week that you don't move your cattle. And that to me is an easier adjustment. You do have issues with dogs sometimes, but the biggest impact with development in ag ground is that nobody fixes the fence. And it seems like you're stuck fixing all the fence, you don't get any help because it's your cows. And why should I have to fix my fence? And so I think there's some more work we need to do on expressing the fence. Good fences make for good neighbors, and there should be something built more onto that into this application. So my feeling right now is to, open it back up for more public input and more public information.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify one point with you?
Sure.
So on the intersection, I think our county engineer is actually the one that has the ability to discuss that intersection. ITD, we don't deal with a state agency. I mean, we can't ask them for input more than what they've already given in a letter. But so during that discussion, I think we had talked about maybe the county's engineer giving us more information about that intersection because it impacts the county.
Well, and that's one of the things that's really kind of ambiguous on the plat map is it shows property lines. It shows a really wide ITD easement there, but we don't know where the corners are on that. It could be moved to the south a little bit. We don't know where those corners are, but I remember our road supervisor was, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't really clear on what's going to happen there. And I think we need to define that a little bit more. It's really sad that we can't get ITD on the ball and help us put something together to make this a safer intersection. But to me, I'm still in the gray area on exactly what we're going to gain from the road department and the road improvements. Hey, Neil, now it's your turn.
Okay. No, after our meeting last week, and all the people brought up very good points, and there was a lot of good information came from it. And I think we're all in agreement that this thing needs to be looked at again. You guys already know I was the one guy on the board that voted against it. And I had my reasons, and they were in the record and stated. But I always try to keep an open mind about anything. But I truly believe we need to bring this back up for a public hearing and relook at this whole situation. And I agree with Commissioner Maupin and Commissioner Hasbrook that we going to give it our full due diligence. before we make a complete go or no-go. And so I'm good with that.
I think there was a few areas that we specifically needed information on, so if we could give direction to the developer. One, the future phases. Two, mitigation of that intersection. Three, I mean, the impacts to the wildlife have been brought up. I don't, that was one of the considerations or things that we had heard. Maybe you can give us a little bit more information there. Amy, are you taking notes on these, or are we gonna send these to the guys?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Mop and I am taking notes.
Okay, thank you. There was in the hearing the other day, the potential impacts to governmental services, the extra tax revenue to offset demand on the services. Maybe he could give us a little bit more information with some solid evidence on that one way or another. Impacts related to the water quality, specific to well-to-well interference and spring water rights. We'd kind of discussed that, but there was some information given during the original hearing, and I think we kind of backed off on the neighboring well, so he needs to address that a little bit further for me. Expected impacts to property values for nearby landowners. I think that would be something to specifically identify for this rehearing.
Say that one again.
They talked about the impacts to the values for the nearby landowners.
Okay.
So just some evidence, being in real estate, I found a lot of evidence that when development occurs, values go up, they don't go down. So, that's just a little bit more information on that. So we have some solid evidence in front of us to make a determination on that.
So I'm assuming then, this is an action item, we need a motion. And that motion would be to,
I have a motion.
you have a motion? Oh, awesome, because I was trying to word it. It's good to have help.
The board finds after reconsidering the arguments put forth by the parties opposing CUP 2402 that the board's decision should be vacated and this matter be set for an additional public hearing before the board. The board directs staff to set a public hearing at the earliest convenient time, provide notice to the public consistent with Idaho law. And then following the public hearing, the board intends to issue findings of facts and conclusions of law that will replace its decision issued on September 9th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Man, you did very well with that. That was impressive.
You'd think I had a law degree.
Wow. We got a motion and a second to basically start over on this one, have a little more in public hearing and kind of go from there. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
I don't know that it's starting over. We're just
Kinda,
getting a
sorta.
little more information for the record, maybe.
Do
so.
over.
Little more.
Okay, the
extended.
motion is approved. Brian, do we have to issue a formal letter for this, don't we? And you've,
Right.
okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Cindy, come on up the mic, please.
We had tentatively set a public hearing for December 23rd. The soonest we would be able to do notice. Or do you want us to push it out to maybe January, February? Totally up to you.
How much time do we have? Do you have 60 days to do another hearing, or what's the code say, how long we can take?
There is nothing that says that you have to do it sooner than later. It's just the 23rd is the soonest we could get it on a hearing and do our notice.
Was that your agenda on the 23rd, Doug? How much?
The only thing I hate to do the week of Christmas because there could be people traveling that week. We don't have one on the 30th. So I would go into January myself. The only thing is then Elle won't be here, but
Okay,
I don't know that that makes a difference if this is being reconsidered by a new board. We probably should do the 23rd, honestly, just to keep it contiguous with the
No, we don't have
same board.
so have you got, what is it, about an hour? How much would you schedule for this? 2 hours?
I don't think we,
I would think an hour would be plenty.
hour.
What's that done?
Well,
You know, even if you pushed it out to January, February, I mean, your decision is still going to be based upon the ordinance and the facts presented, not on your personal feelings, I would hope.
So if
That would give
so another public hearing, so we're gonna hear opponents and proponents both.
the items listed.
The reason I think it would be important is because then you would have three people that had heard all the evidence today.
I bet we'd need
So
to,
Catlin would have to start fresh, and I don't think that's fair.
I think we'd have to have 2 hours. I don't think we can do it in an hour.
All we're doing is addressing just those.
Each
Oh, you get
appellant gets 20 minutes.
Talk, I don't know.
No, the applicant would have their time,
2 hours.
and then everybody gets 3 minutes.
And that, their time is what, 10 minutes or 20 minutes? 10
The
minutes?
applicant, we don't have a defined time.
Okay.
They would have opportune time to present the information on each of those items that you listed.
We're here on the 23rd.
Mr. Chairman.
We kind of end business at 3:30.
That's,
That can be moved around.
I'm gonna take it up.
So let's schedule it for 2 o'clock.
But we'd scheduled it for 1.
It would be scheduled for 1 o'clock, just right after lunch.
1 to 3.
Okay, give us 2 hours, please. So we will schedule a public hearing on December 23rd at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Everybody got that?
You will notice it.
Hey, thanks, everyone.
Does that work for you, Amy?
I'll make it work.
Thank you.
Hope you're not going anywhere for Christmas.
I was trying to push it out, but
I just
I'm
think
not going
Catlin,
anywhere.
it's not fair to be brand new to a board with a large decision like that.
Just a point of clarification, there will be a written decision by Friday.
That's a good way, get her feet wet.
they have a written decision.
There will be something in writing.
Oh, you will present it to you.
Thank you.
Send it to everybody.
Okay, we're gonna move on if we're done with this. Our next agenda item is not an action item. This is a workshop on commercial solid waste fees at the transfer station. Doug, who is asking for this?
Mr. Chairman, that'd be Mr. Oki.
Okay,
So is this on the McCall deal?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this agenda item is related to requests from the city of McCall seeking clarification on our ordinance. They're in the process of putting together an RFP for solid waste services. And that's going out to bid. They've had some feedback from multiple vendors that may be interested in bidding, but they want clarification as to what the commercial rate that would be charged at the gate for solid waste that's brought to the transfer station from the city of McCall.
I would assume it'd be the same as what everybody else is paying.
Well, right now, Lake Shore has the contract for services for the city of McCall, and so they're not paying a fee at the gate. If it's somebody else, some other company that gets the bid, they're asking, one, would we charge a commercial fee? And if the answer to that is yes, then what would that rate be?
Well, that's kind of a pickle, isn't it?
Well, my comment to Oak was, if Lake Shore is going to charge us a fee, we obviously would need to push that fee through. It's gonna cost the county to accept that differently, then they should pay that fee. But we don't really know what Lake Shore is going to charge us, and
We know what they're gonna charge us for long haul.
Right.
But they're gonna-
What they charged for the MERS site.
they charge us that anyway. That's a part of our current budget, is they already charge us that long haul fee. I mean, I guess what my feeling is the people in McCall already pay for solid waste, residential fee or a commercial fee.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on who picks it up, right now, we're not being charged to dump that. It is an extra,
Just what,
haul rate, but that's already in our budget. We've already accounted for that in our fees that we're currently charging. So if there's an additional fee that Lake Shore is gonna charge because they're not collecting that trash any longer and getting that fee, curbside fee from everybody, then I think it's pass through. We
Yeah.
need to charge them, and we need to charge, our administration to oversee that.
Well, well, that's interesting.
Lake Shore's
It's a
making
complicated question. Because we have, Lake Shore Disposal is the current contract holder for us and for the city of McCall.
Sure.
And so those fees are probably just absorbed, whatever fees we would have ordinarily charged, just absorbed in the contract that we have with Lake Shore Disposal. And again, the city doesn't know who they're going to select. This is a competitive bid process. They're going to go through that whole process just like we would. And so they're asking the question, if a vendor other than Lakeshore is awarded the contract, does that change that gate fee? Because obviously they want to put that information in their bid packet and the information to potential bidders so they can make a strategic bid.
How's that impact our contract with Lakeshore? Now, Lakeshore doesn't have to pick up anybody in the city limits of McCall.
Correct.
I mean, that impacts that contract.
Well, and I know that there's been some questions raised by Lakeshore. I haven't talked to them directly, but heard through the city of McCall that they're questioning the contract we have with us, awarding them the exclusive right to pick up in the entire county. So I think some additional conversations need to be had with our contractor related to the contract that we have and how all that works. So there's a number of things that I don't have answers for here today, but I wanted to get it on the agenda because I know it's a timeliness issue, because McCall wants to get they need answers sooner rather than later so they can get their bid packet put out there. Wanted to bring it to your attention. So
Brian, we would still charge the same annual levy for each residence, each business as we are now. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but some industrial uses pay a lot more taxes to the county to run the MRF site than the residentials do. So that would stay the same.
the rates for the type of solid waste that's being hauled is different, commercial versus residential. And this should not have an impact on the rates that we charge. It doesn't have any effect at all. It just, hypothetically, if a contractor other than Lakeshore is the one that's awarded the bid for the city of McCall, they're going to want to bring their solid waste to our transfer station.
Sure.
And the question they've asked is, will there be a fee or will that be free?
It'd be the same amount of waste, basically, still coming, just somebody else is delivering it.
Yep, same exact amount of, I mean, with just your regular adjustments for growth.
Sure.
Nothing necessarily changes, just the logo on the truck that's coming to the gate. There's some language in our ordinance that's a little confusing. It seems to suggest that we don't charge a commercial fee. So I wanted to bring that to your attention too, that if our intention is that we would charge a fee for a commercial rate at the gate to unload your solid waste at the transfer station, we may need to make some clarifying amendments in the ordinance to make that abundantly clear and outline what the fee should be.
Commercial rates are at the gate. My son pays a lot to come and dump a commercial trailer.
I was a
But
little,
that goes to Lakeshore, doesn't it?
No, it's part of our fee structure to run the MRF. Those girls directly run a credit card that goes right into our
yeah,
account. So
So
So in our contract currently with Lakeshore, is there any verbiage that says that they can charge us if another contractor brings in that? I think we're gonna be in court, honestly, because I don't think it's clear and precise what in the valley means.
Not that I'm,
In our
so, yeah,
new
not,
contract, we need to clarify that.
yeah, I do too. I'm not aware that there's any provision in our current contract with Lakeshore that talks about them charging us a fee. That really doesn't make any sense. The agreement that we have is that they are our contractor of choice to run the operations of the transfer station. They do other things besides that, but their role really is to just run the day-to-day operations of the transfer station. So that's what they do.
So the normal revenue we take in or yearly should cover those expenses. My concern is that can Lakeshore come in and say, whatever that is, we're gonna charge another 15%? I know we're gonna have a workshop with them here pretty quick. Is that still on?
I don't know.
I thought they wanted to come in and talk to us about, has anybody heard?
So Scott and I talked about it last week. He said, are we really ready? We have a whole year now on this contract.
Yeah.
So they want to start renegotiation on this contract, upcoming contract. And I think, we certainly need to have our act together before we have them at the table.
Yeah.
And look at our
Well, I
contract.
think it pays to, because I know some of the discussion was that Dennis wanted to come in and talk about the 15% automatic on everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay if we kind of hear that through the year instead of all trying to jam it all into 1 or 2 or 3 meetings right when the contract's about due.
Yeah. So there is a provision. There's a graduated scale or kind of a step up provision in the contract that allows them, if the consumer price index reaches a certain point, that they are entitled to come in and ask for, but they have to demonstrate that their costs for providing the services have gone up. Therefore, and so we don't have to re-sign a contract every year. I think that's what you're talking about is their ability under the current contract to come in and say, fuel, tires, employees, our cost of business went up, so we need to charge you more. There is a step up provision in the contract that allows for that. That's all that does.
Do we pay Clay Peak or do they pay Clay Peak and we were?
No, we pay Clay Peak. They just give us the tonnage.
We have a
We
tipping
actually pay Clay Peak ourselves.
at $1 million a year.
Now, let me ask you
So-
this, Brian, this being a city, do you know, is this an annual contract or are they gonna do a 10-year contract or?
I don't know.
Because if it's an annual, we're gonna be doing this every year.
Most cities don't do annual.
Yeah,
I don't know, doesn't the code allows them to have longer,
yes.
okay, a city and county can.
There's certain exceptions to, and this is one of them that allows for a longer term contract.
So 2 things. One, if it does go to court to clarify this contract, is that the city fighting that since they want to do this? Is it their interpretation of our contract that they would be fighting?
Are you asking about the exclusive right to pick up in the entire county? Well, that's an agreement that we have with Lakeshore. So if there's a dispute about that dispute would be between us and Lakeshore Disposal.
Okay. And 2, there is a lot of things within their contract that I'm reading that is very specific to what we can put in that landfill. And so now that verbiage would need to go into a contract that McCall would be having with any outside vendor. Because there are exclusions, things that we won't accept at the MRF.
Yeah.
At transfer site.
And that would obviously be an important addition to what we communicate to the city of McCall, is that in addition to a fee, if that's what you choose to do, is charge a fee at the gate, there would have to be some communication that there would need to be loads could be rejected if they're not compliant with the requirements. Now, again, all this conversation assumes that Lakeshore is not going to be the winning contractor in the city of McCall. They may very well be the one that is awarded the bid. But in a fair competitive bid process, you have to consider all options, not just one. So if Lakeshore is listening, I don't want them to assume that they won't be fairly considered. They certainly would, and a lot of these questions are resolved if they're the winning bid, but we do need to address them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there is that, if somebody else actually wins the bid, that's between them and Lakeshore. They're gonna have to arm wrestle what the cost difference is. Cause that's, Lakeshore, they know what they spend, drivers, trucks, equipment to pick up in McCall.
Yeah.
That's gonna have to be somehow, I don't know how that's gonna work.
Well, as
The city of McCall.
Commissioner Maupin said, she has in her own family business, there's rates that are charged at the gate. Those rates they're not charged to Lakeshore because those rates are absorbed into the contract that we have with them. So it's accounted for that way. But now we introduce a new vendor into that system. You would assume that the rate of pay or the rate of commercial fee rate would be set the same as it is for any other commercial vendor. That's the question I think McCall's asking us.
Do you know, have you heard any more on the recycling? One time they talked about a commingled recycling, whether that's still going forward?
I haven't heard anything about that.
They wanted to use our recycle center, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we can't take commingled recycling.
Yeah. So, yeah, not an action item, just wanted to put this on the agenda so we could have this discussion, have a plan for follow-up so we can complete the action and then respond back to McCall in a timely manner on what our position is going to be on the issue of the fee.
So I gotta ask this one more time, Brian, because I think it's gonna be, the fight is gonna be between Lakeshore and us because we didn't honor our contract and allowed someone else to bid on that.
Well,
We don't,
I don't know about that.
I don't know either, that's what I'm asking.
I think that, I think that's a conversation that might better be had, not in a public setting, but certainly can have that conversation with Lakeshore about what their perception and their interpretation is. But I will say this, keep in mind, just like on planning and zoning issues, there are jurisdictional boundaries and authorities only extend so far. And that goes both ways. McCall doesn't have the authority to govern what happens in the unincorporated areas, as the county doesn't have really a whole lot of authority to govern what happens within their jurisdiction. So,
and it may not even be a consideration for Lakeshore at the end of the day because they deal with this in every single county that has a city within it. I mean, I'm certain that, Ada County, they're probably not telling Ada County what the city of Boise is going to do and the city of Star and
correct.
everything else. So it might just be, hasn't been something that's been addressed with us before, but it's probably a norm in the system somewhere.
And those, we need to have that conversation with Lakeshore and be open and transparent about the way that came to be. This contract has been in place for a long time, so.
And it really doesn't matter the verbiage because we don't have legal authority within city limits, so we can't.
The municipalities operate under their own set of Idaho code, and the authorities that govern them are in place.
Correct me, am I safe to say that I'm assuming that our rates and our fees that we charge, everything would pretty much stay the same, depending, no matter who's bringing it to the MRF?
So this is an interesting conversation because we could say that, well, City of McCall's waste, this clarifies it for me actually. City of McCall's waste is currently coming to us from Lakeshore. We're not charging a fee to dump it. I mean, that's all being paid by the residential and the commercial fees.
Right.
So it doesn't matter who's transporting it to us. We're currently working under that same model. I mean,
Right.
if we were to say, McCall, you have to charge, you're gonna pay a fee for somebody else to bring it, why aren't we doing that with Lakeshore? You're under contract with the City of McCall, not us, for the city.
Right.
So every time you come and dump, you gotta pay us some money.
Well, then you gotta rethink your annual tax levy, or
Right.
I think everything just keeps rolling right the same.
And the biggest thing to City of McCall will be is if that guy that gets the bid wants to charge more.
Well, that goes to the,
That goes between
that
the
goes to
city
the
and them.
ratepayers. No, that goes to me, the land, or the owner of that garbage can that they charge me for every
That's right,
month.
you're in the city.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. I do.
Okay,
Pay for a privilege of having a bear-proof can.
Thanks for entertaining the issue. I had promised the staff from the city that I would bring this to your attention. And again, I didn't expect you to have to make a decision, having just being confronted with this for the first time. But if you would think it through and then make a decision that can be communicated back to the city, that they would certainly appreciate that. So.
honestly, I think I'm more concerned about if McCall does move that account, we may lose Lakeshore for the county. Because we have been told in the past that if we either want it all or we want none of it.
Well, I think that this, as well as their desire to negotiate ongoing contracting prices, is reason to sit around the table and have a conversation with them.
The other part of that conversation is, we are getting all kinds of complaints that Lakeshore is currently not picking up around the county. They have not been in the southern end of the county now for 2 weeks. People are not getting their trash removed. And I had forgotten all about that. I need to make a phone call to Scott, find out what's going on.
And I've been telling people that that's between you and Lakeshore.
Well, yeah, but we're under contract with them. I mean, it's our hammer to wield over them. You know, you're
Well-
charging people for that, but you're under contract to do that.
That's a kind of a fine line because you end up fighting other people's battles that
That's true. That's true.
I know a lot of the issues were when the roads are slick, the snow's too deep, but they don't drive up there.
Yep.
And so they miss that week.
And we got that on one of these things. It said they go, during the winter, you have to bring your trash can to here.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's liability for them to go up a slick driveway.
I don't blame them for that at all, but
Yeah, our relationship with Lakeshore is to be the contract of choice to run the day-to-day operations of the transfer station, and to be the long haul contractor for solid waste going
Right.
out of the, I guess now down to Clay Peak
And the
or
recycling program.
wherever else, and they run the day-to-day for the recycling center. The residential pickup is a agreement between that resident and Lakeshore.
good point. Oh, good, that's how I'm responding from
Well,
now.
and I'm glad you think that way because if you start taking that on, that's never ending. And I said the best that you can do is ask them for credit. If they didn't pick your trash up that week, you should get a credit on your next billing cycle.
Should.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that they're not getting those credits, so it's like, maybe we should be looking at putting this out for an
So
RFP and
that's
seeing
something to
if,
discuss with Lakeshore. It sounds like we better get them in here.
Okay, thank you all for your time.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Is there anybody out there from general public?
General public?
We're here.
Here but no?
No, nobody.
Okay, thanks, Brian, for doing that. So we're gonna move on to our last agenda item today, which is an executive session for employee evaluation. I'll make the motion. I'm wondering if first
I don't-
voice it.
Do we even have one?
I don't know, I'm just gonna, that's Mike.
So Brian, you all ready to talk about McCall impact area?
Sure.
Gonna put it on agenda.
Hey, do we have anybody for evaluation? Oh, great, good news. Thanks, man. Yeah, okay, thanks, bye. So we have no employee for employee evaluation, so we don't need that last executive session. And since this is the last item on our agenda, this meeting is officially adjourned.
No, you don't have personnel?
No.
Oh, do we need some, something else? There was a couple other things these guys wanted to do. Get it on record?
We'll,
Do you want us,
we probably need to wait till next week because this isn't on the agenda, so.
Okay, because we're gonna try and fit it in with the litigation one, but we ran out of time.
we off the,
Door's always open.
let's, we don't have anybody for invite.
No, but I do have. Are we?
We're still on.
Okay.
It's snowing, man.
Wait.
We maybe should discuss that.
So do you want to go into executive for that? Do we need an executive for that?
Yeah.
5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Okay. So we're still on, right, Doug?
So Arnie? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion that we go into an executive session for Idaho Code 742061B, employee evaluation.
Second,
We got a motion, second by roll call.
Thompson.
Mop and I.
That's for Guy. Doug will be in at 4:10. Sorry.